All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I'm actually doing my podcast right now too. So we are live here at the call clinic over here at the St. Rose office, first Monday of the year, January 5th. So I want to start out by, a lot of you already know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to do, it's a review for some of you, and for some of you, it'll be the first time you ever heard it. Like I was telling you, show them your phone, by the way. Look at his phone. It's the Willy Wonka golden ticket. And that's amazing to me because, you know, and Amanda, you've probably heard me tell this story too. When I learned how to prospect on the phone, I felt like I had just won the Willy Wonka golden ticket. Remember that movie? That movie's awesome, by the way. Those older movies have such great messages too, like The Wizard of Oz. I couldn't wait to go see The Wizard of Oz over at the Sphere because remember that, what's the best line in the movie? For me anyway, it's, no, that's one of them, but that's not my favorite. My favorite is, you had the power all along, right? That's the message of the movie at the end, right? You have all these dreams, you go through all these antics, but ultimately you didn't need anybody. You had the power all along. And that's what happens when you learn how to use the phone. You're not, and door knocking, just being proactive in general. Okay, so being proactive in general is absolutely incredible because I had been in the business 2-3 years. My first year I had 17 closings. My second year I had 23. Every one of them buyers. I had not even sold. I didn't think anybody would list with me. I had hair, mostly like you. I had hair like you, kind of like you, a curly hair, afro. And I thought, why would anybody list a property with me? I'm so young. And I started wearing suit coats and so forth. And then eventually I learned how to do a listing presentation. And that was another big part of it. But the key to the phone, since today we're talking about the phone, is, in my opinion, it's, first off, you have to be energetic and enthusiastic. You have to be, because no one's going to want to talk to you unless you are, right? So it starts with your introduction, right? Remember that movie, You Had Me at Hello? Was that Jerry Maguire? That's how you have to be. You have to have them at hello. When they answer the phone, they got to be like, oh my God, who is this? First off, if they're looking to buy or sell, they're listening differently, right? You remember this too. I used to run the Mike Ferry Prospecting School. I would start the school like this. Okay, who's looking for people who aren't moving? Thank you. It's supposed to be funny. You're not looking for people who aren't moving. You're looking for people who are moving. And the people who are moving act totally different. They're listening to you. They answer the phone too. They see, ooh, real estate. Why is a real estate agent calling me? All right? So I remember, you know, like when you do the intro, like to the Just Sold script, it sounds like this. Hi, this is Rick Berube of Berkshire Hathaway. We just sold a home in your neighborhood over on Oak Street. It has 4 bedrooms and 3 baths, and it just sold for $700,000. Now, we know when one home in the neighborhood sells, usually 2 or 3 more are going to sell right away. So my question is, how about you folks? When do you plan on moving? It's a super assumptive question. It doesn't say if, it says when. And they go, when? Whoa, are you trying to make me move? Now, if you have my personality, you go, of course I am. No. And they laugh and you laugh. So you just be yourself, have fun. Prospecting is perfectly ethical and moral, right, Kristen? Hi, Happy New Year, right? It's and if you get good at it, like like Luba has, like Michelle has, like Barbara's getting at, Tony. If you've been in the business for a while and you know you get good and you get good at the phone, you know how it's like. I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what I need to do today, which has a lot of comfort. Okay, in being, because you're a business owner, you're a walking, talking business. Okay, so let's get into the intro. Don't run them over, but you have to compel them to want to answer you, right? And to me, it's all about whatever you're calling them about is exciting. Hey, I saw your home was on the market and it didn't sell. I was calling to see when you'd like to get together and talk about getting it sold. Now, when you speak like that, people answer you, right? As long as they don't hang up. Some of them will. And like Amanda said, the people who hang up on you are the people who aren't interested. I think it was Rochelle, actually. They hang up on you because they don't have any interest in what you're doing. And matter of fact, they save you time is how you need to look at it. All right? So, and if I'm calling about, I just listed a home, or, hey, we just listed a home in your neighborhood, all right? And I'm calling to see, all right, if you'd like to help me pick your neighbor. That's basically what the script says. Who do you know that would love to move into our neighborhood, right? So you compel them, okay, to want to talk to you. Now, there's a way to do that, which I'm going to get into in a few minutes. So the first thing is your intro. Any questions about the intro? Good. Okay. Next thing I would say is speak with familiarity. Hey, Carlos. Hey, speak with familiarity. That means talk to them like you know them. Like people used to actually ask me, do I know you? Right? What do you say when they say that? Right. I usually say, you do now. Right? Because usually we've had a couple, back and forth, and they've answered me and we've talked. And so I usually say, but whatever, like use your personality. There's the scripts and you want to stick to the scripts, but then there's be yourself. People can tell when you're nervous and uncomfortable, by the way. And unfortunately, there's a small percentage of the planet that's going to take advantage of that. And you never want to let them ruin your attitude about using the phone, right? You just stick within the law. You don't use an auto dialer and you don't call the do not call list. Everybody else is fair game, and it's perfectly legal, ethical, and moral to call them. I recommend it. I think it's really good. All right. So have an intro with energy and enthusiasm. Speak with familiarity, like you're talking to when I get on the phone, my mantra in my head is, I went to high school with everybody I'm about to talk to. Now, for you guys, that's like right now. But for me, that would be a long time ago. Well, hey, calm down. All right. And then the third part is use the pattern. Okay. So anybody know what the pattern is? Some of you do. I'll explain the pattern. The pattern is I use an open-ended question. I never say if, I say when. How about you folks? So I'll give you I'll give you the expired script. The person answers the phone. Hi, this is Rick Berube. I see your home on Oak Street. The listing has expired, and I was calling to see when you'd like to get together and talk about getting it sold. Now, I ask an open-ended question, all right? I finish my sentence on a downswing. I don't go, so when would you like to get together and talk about getting it sold this time? Right. By the way, that says I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm extremely nervous. By the way, you should probably hang up on me. So you always ask an open-ended question, but finish your sentence on a downswing. How about you folks? When do you plan on moving? Not moving, right? Compels them to answer. No matter what they say, you repeat, approve, and then ask the next question. So you're not moving. I totally understand. You know what? Neither would I. This house looks great. So I'm curious, how long have you folks lived there? So you just go to the next question. Okay, so that's the pattern. The pattern is I ask an open-ended question. I introduce myself. I ask an open-ended question, finish my sentence on a downswing. No matter what they say, I repeat, I approve, and I ask the next question. That's the pattern. Matter of fact, once you get used to that pattern, you'll have conversations with people like that too, because it'll just be part of your way of communicating. Any questions about that? Don't be shy. Come on, folks. I can see you, James. Are you tiptoeing or hobbling? Oh, my God. That's not a good day. All right. No questions about that. All right. So let's go through the lead sources really quick. Okay. So in my opinion, these are the 5 lead sources. The first one is your sphere. Okay. It's the number one group all of you should be talking to and talking to consistently. Right. Sphere. What is a sphere? Someone you know, family member, friends, associates you've worked with. I say anybody you write a check to, doctor, lawyer, whoever, you have the ability, you earn the right, if you're paying somebody, to ask them for business, in my opinion, nicely, professionally, right? So that's your sphere. You should be talking to your sphere at least 3-4 times a year. I would say once a quarter is a good, now, unless they're referring to you business, then you probably want to talk to them a little bit more. Like I have some people in my sphere I would talk to once a month. I have people in my sphere I talk to every other month. I have people in my sphere I talk to once a quarter, which is about 85% of my sphere. And then I had people I would talk to only a couple times a year. And those are people that are usually salespeople that know what I'm doing, that are doing the same thing, so we don't have to talk all the time. Hello? Hold on a second.
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hey, it's Jamel.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
You need,
hold
on one second. Sorry about that. I forgot to mute the call. So if you have a question, no problem. Just hit *6 and I'll be able to hear you. Okay. Anyway, so your sphere you should talk to at least, I would say, once a quarter. But some of them you'll want to talk to more, and a few of them you'll want to talk to less. Like I had financial advisors, and they're salespeople too. They know what I'm doing. I know, So we would talk just a couple times a year and still refer business back and forth. Right. But whenever your sphere, and I don't know what you guys do, but whenever my sphere referred somebody to me, I kept the person who referred it in the loop. Hey, Rochelle, the Joneses, I just want you to know they picked their house. They're under contract. They're extremely excited. Thanks again for referring them to me. So I use that as an excuse to talk to her again. Okay. All right, good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So she asks. I just did it. And if they didn't, every now and then someone would say to me, you don't have to tell me, Rick, but I really appreciate it. Right? So, yeah, when it comes to prospecting, I always say, assume everything. They'll tell you if they want. Like people say, no, my friends only want to be text. And I go, yeah, everybody says that until it's buying a home or your health. Then they'd like to get a call and be informed as to what's going on because it's an important thing. All right? So that's your sphere. Any questions about sphere? Sphere is very simple. I always start with how I know them. Like if my kids went to school with them or whatever, if they live in my neighborhood or if I sold them a house, I always check with, I always start with that. I never start with business. I end with business when I'm talking to my sphere. Okay, any questions about that? All right, so the next group is farming or just listed and just sold like you do. Some people actually have a geographic location. Some people actually just do farming activities around their listings and sales, and that's where the just listed and the just sold script comes in. We just sold a home in your neighborhood over on Oak Street, that listing, that script I just did. Or we just listed a home in your area. And I'm going to tell you something where I come from. I did about 60% of my business from those two scripts, mostly the just sold script. And Earl's not here yet because, it's not 10 o'clock in the morning. So, but when Earl gets here, you'll hear him. He uses the just sold script and does almost all his business from the just sold script and his sphere. All right. So to me, and the reason you would want to do that is, okay, there's less competition. Now, they're further out, but there's less competition. So it's kind of like, like expireds, which we're going to cover next. Expireds are a little tougher, but they're immediate because they already have their home listed. They've already told the world, I want to sell and I'm willing to list and pay a commission. I like calling them, even if I do get beat up a little bit every now and then, which I don't know, I'm sure you don't anymore. Wow. Because we've had a lot of expireds. Yeah. And they have 2.75 or 3. Yeah. Good point. Very good point. So a lot of your sphere, yeah, when that rate comes down to hopefully like the low 5s, and then it'll get some of those people off the fence too. That's why I think we have a lot of business, coming down the line as the rates come down even more. And that's why it's so important to stay in contact with them, James. Absolutely. Morning. All right. So that's just listed, just sold. It's really a numbers game. Here's the number one argument I get from people. Well, that script is so long. The intro is so long. If you called me, I would hang up. I go, are you moving? Well, no. Well, then it doesn't matter. Right? I'm not looking for people who aren't moving. Remember that? Who's looking for people who aren't moving? No, you're not looking for people who aren't moving. You're looking for people who are moving. People who are moving are listening to you, like Rochelle said earlier. Wow. I'm going to give you an exact example. Before I started this job, I was in Fairfield, California. Anybody know where that is? Right before Napa. It's kind of out towards Napa, in between Oakland and San Francisco. I worked with this big team. Well, they were a big team that was reduced to a smaller team because the REOs were drying up, and he was having his team get back into selling this way. So I was helping them train. I was helping train them. And I called this little old lady. She's probably like 75, lived in Oakland, had a 2-family. And I called her with the old expired script. Hi, Mrs. Jones, Rick Berube here, Berkshire Hathaway. I see your home on the market. And she cuts me off. What are you talking about? And I go, well, your home at 123 Oak Street. I don't own a home at 123 Oak Street. Now, it's an old expired. I've learned from experience that they don't always give you the right phone numbers with old expireds, right? With Red X or Mojo. So I go into my like, oh my God, I can't believe, well, my information is usually correct. But while I have you on the phone, do you own a home in the area? And here's what she says. Yes, I do, and I own a 2-family, and my daughter is sitting across the kitchen table from me right now, going through the yellow pages, looking for a real estate company that sells 2-families. Do you sell 2-families? It goes, as a matter of fact, we do. And I set an appointment. We went over the next day and listed the property from a wrong phone number. So my theory is, if you're going to call old expires or expire, you're going to get wrong phone numbers. Come up with, like I went into basically, oh my God, you weren't paying attention. You know, your house at 123 Oak Street? Well, I don't own that house. Oh my God. Well, my information is usually correct. But while I have you on the phone, do you own a home? I mean, I'm calling the area code that I'm working in. So she's like, yes. And so anytime you have somebody on the phone, all right, clarify, ask them if they have any real estate needs. If you have them on the phone, you might as well make it a real contact. Okay? So the just listed, just sold, it's a numbers game. You're going to find people 6 months out, 3 months out, 9 months out. Load them up in the VAC. We have a great tool for that. Okay? I like the neighborhood reports, the newsletters, whatever you guys, if you're more techie, you may want to use BHH Connect. I like the VAC. It's very simple. It's set it once and done, and it works forever. Okay? So expired listings, we kind of covered them a little bit. You got to be a little ready for them. And just like we were talking about earlier, you know, if I had your track record or Alberto's or Tony's or James or whoever, I would say when I'm talking to expireds and they get crusty, which they will, I call it crusty. Why are you calling me? You've heard that. When they say that, what do you say when someone, hi, this is Rick with Berkshire Hathaway. I see your home. Why are you calling me? Well, you know what? That's such a great question because your home was on the market and it didn't sell. Okay, did you show my home? No, I didn't even know it was on the market until I saw it expire. But while your home was on the market, I sold 6 of my own listings. I would love to come over and show you how I did that. Totally puts them on their heels. You sold 6? Well, how did you do that? That's what I want to show you. What time would be good for you? Now, I'm still going to get into where were you going? How soon do you want to be there? Why am I going to do that? Right, exactly. Right, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that's not where I want to spend my time, and I know you don't either. Right, I want to spend my company was relocating me to Seattle, and I didn't sell my house in time. So now that kind of person I want to go. I don't care what they say about price because their motivation is high. Remember, the phone is simply for seeking motivation and setting appointments. Getting contract signs is face to face. Never try to shortcut that. It's just being lazy. Well, I want to feel comfortable if they're going to sign with me before I drive all the way out there. No matter how good you get at the phone, you're never as effective over the phone as you are face to face. If someone is motivated, they're worth the trip. Trust me on this. Well, because you can get a contract signed face to face. Well, because communication is better. 55% of communication is lost, okay, over the phone because they can't see my body language and my facial expressions. Thank you. Very good. All right, so that's expired. And then here's another one, especially for the newer agents, well, any agent actually, for sale by owners. Hey, David. For sale by owners. I love for sale by owners. It's the easiest appointment on the planet, by the way. Their home is on the, by the way, something happened last August. Anybody remember what that was? That everybody's already forgotten about. Anybody remember what happened last August if something became mandatory? Buyer broker agreement became mandatory last August. Everybody has forgotten about it. Because I remember people were jumping off buildings and leaving the business because we have to have a buyer broker agreement signed. Yeah. Yeah, listen. Are you saying I'm wrong? Oh, I thought I was wrong once. I was actually mistaken. No. But anyway, the point is that the easiest way to get over for sale by owner is because you need to know the inventory. Hi, Tony. Rick Berube here, Berkshire Hathaway. I see you're on the market for sale by owner. Good for you. I always threw that in there, right? I'm just calling to see if you're cooperating with real estate agents. By the way, it's the only yes or no question in all the scripts. And I do it like that intentionally because if they say no, I'll say no, like really like no. Well, what if I have a buyer willing to pay a price acceptable to you? What should I do? And then what do they say? Well, you know what? We can talk about that. But would you like me to show your house if I have a buyer? All right, well, if the buyer pays the commission, okay, perfect. All I need to do is come by and check it out. Well, I have pictures online. You know what? I've seen great pictures in terrible homes, and I've seen terrible pictures in great homes. I don't talk about a home, my policy, unless I've seen it. But I don't mind. I'll come out and see it. And once again, I want to get out there because communication is much better face-to-face, and I always dress like this. Especially, I'm not on buyer appointments, but on listing appointments I do, right? Because, yeah, I think it's important. Remember, every time you're in a listing appointment, in this office, the average commission is about $13.5, I think it is, $13, $14. The average commission. So I'm having a $14,000 conversation. I think I should dress like this if I'm going to someone's house and having a $14,000 conversation myself. Okay, that's just my opinion. If I'm working with buyers, I can dress, maybe I won't wear the tie, right? But I will when I'm going over a listing. And I was in San Diego for a year too. In San Diego, people would say to me, dude, you're overdressed for real estate here, bro. And I'd be like, I haven't had a seller say that to me. Only the other agents say that to me. All right, so that is for sale by owners. You start the conversation, because most for sale by owners think they can actually pull it off, and NAR has great stats, and 94% of them end up using an agent. So I don't start with, hey, by the way, do you know that 94% of you end up I don't start with that, but I start with getting over, looking at the home, and then I ask them questions that they don't know the answer to most of the time. You know, like my favorite question to ask the first time is, hey, I know as a real estate agent how I come up with value, you know, the sales price, but I'm curious, how did you come up with your sale price? Why, is there something wrong with it? No, I'm just curious how you do it. What do most of them say? The Zestimate, right? Interesting. Is the Zestimate always right? It's actually closer today than it's ever been, but it's not always right, no. All right? All right, so let's wrap this all up, get on the phone. Okay, so the key is you want to definitely have energy, enthusiasm with your introduction. You want to speak with familiarity, make sure that they, that they can feel it. It sounds like you know them. And you do that by that pattern, which is the third part, open-ended questions, repeat, approve, ask the next question. But remember, you do not have to be perfect to get results on the phone, right? Energy and enthusiasm will make up for a lot of it. And as you do it more and more, you'll get better and better at doing it. Any questions for me? All right, everybody, let's get on the phone. Woo! Try to contain yourselves, really. I know it, right?